Did I hit them all right? Yeah. All you guys, welcome. Welcome to another episode of History, Drink, Repeat. I'm so excited to be here. It's actually been 2 months, I think, since we did one, John.
A long time.
I know, with my move and me getting resettled and everything, it just, all of a sudden, we haven't done one since the history of St. Patrick, I believe.
Well, I mean, the good news is history stopped while we were on break.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Now that we're back, it can start back up again.
Is that how that works? I love it.
I'm almost positive that's how it works.
Oh, you guys, well, we're here to talk about the history, well, the brief history, because it's extremely extensive that I've now condensed, but we'll be talking about the history of vaudeville today. And I'm pretty excited about it. I'm going to show you guys some videos, we'll look at some pictures, and I will try to do it justice. And if you're like, what is vaudeville? So please stick around.
What is vaudeville?
What is vaudeville? Right? Well, I'll answer that shortly. But first, because we gotta joke around for a little bit, since that's the history part. So history is vaudeville. We'll talk about early American entertainment. But the drink part is I made myself today a Tom Collins. So I'm drinking a Tom Collins. I'm trying to, always try to be era appropriate with my beverages as much as possible.
Who is this man, Tom Collins? Why did he get a drink named after him?
I actually don't know the history of why it's called a Tom Collins.
I mean, if you're gonna drink a Tom Collins, that's
I should have looked up a little trivia tidbit about what a Tom Collins is. Is that what you're saying?
I'm drinking a John B. That's me, and this is a drink that was named after me. It's something I created actually. There's whiskey and Coke Zero. So yeah, I don't know why they decided to name it after me. I guess I've just been a good celebrity for it because I consume so much of it.
Cranky.
But it's nice.
Yes, I love it. So your Jack and Coke is really called a John B. Not an Angelus. It's just a John B.
John B.
Real name.
It's a John B. That's me. That's
B. That's me. Well, I'm Piva Colada. Did I say that? Janelle. aka Janelle.
I'm Angelus 000.
This is Angelus 000. Welcome, you guys. Thank you for tuning in on your Friday night. Always appreciate you guys hanging out with us. When we do these, we love them. They bring us joy.
But yeah, vaudeville. Let's see what I know about vaudeville. I know.
When I said I wanted to do the history of vaudeville, did you know what I was talking about?
Yeah, 100%.
See, I think it's because you're in theater. Or maybe that's an overgeneralization. I'm not sure.
I mean, it's partially maybe because I'm in theater, but I mean, if you've gone to like the Edison, downtown LA, they have like vaudeville acts and burlesque acts. Vaudeville.
That's true.
Screens. I'm also a big, huge Disney fan.
Hello.
And vaudeville was synonymous with like Disney films for a while. I mean, there's some less appetite for old vaudeville stuff that Disney has done. Some racist stereotypes in there.
Correct.
But in general, I mean, it's with like the film, the transition with vaudeville to film, animation kind of saw that as like an easy way to do music and
hands down.
Yeah, sure.
And that's what we'll talk about that, right? A little bit. We'll talk about what is vaudeville, how it came about, what it meant for American culture, and then ultimately what happened to it. How is it? Does it even still exist? And if it does, in what forms? Because things of the past still linger. And so
I just want to know, how do I book a ticket to vaudeville?
Oh, go to vaudeville.
Yeah, I want to go to vaudeville. I assume it's a place. I mean, yes. If it's not, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Or you're going to be very disappointed.
Yeah, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Well, I guess it's in some ways, it could be a place, right? Because it's a place you go to watch acts, right? A series of a variety of different performances in that regard. All right, you guys, yeah, let's get started. I do have me, I try to not go over an hour time limit that John's like, why'd you put that on yourself? But I still like to keep it condensed as much as possible so you don't get bored, right? Or overloaded. You're just like so much information thrown at you. So what I'm going to do first, I'm actually going to be mixing it up a little bit this time. I'm going to be showing you guys a couple of videos because when it comes to vaudeville, it's performance-based. And so I wanted to show you just some samples of what that entails. So I'll give you a quick introduction and then you will watch a quick video and then we'll go into the history a little bit more in depth. Just let you guys know what we're doing, which is a little bit different. So if you are a veteran and you've been coming to these every time we do them, just know that this is a little mixed. I'm mixing it up a little bit. And if you're brand new to this, you can just to know that this is something I've not done before. So I hope I don't mess it up because it's live.
Oh, and if you're brand new, you're feel free to ask questions in the chat.
Definitely.
I can't promise I'll respond to them all, although I am a history PhD. I have a PhD in history.
Oh.
And but I decide which ones I want to respond to.
That's how that works. I love it. You're beautiful. Okay, so if you didn't know what vaudeville is, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. So definition of vaudeville is basically it was this theatrical genre of this variety entertainment in the United States, Canada, and even parts of Europe from around 1880s to about the early 1930s. So what it is, so each performance, because again, it's this variety of different performances. So each performance, which could be it could be like 15 minutes. They're all different time frames, but was made up of a series of separated, basically unrelated acts that they grouped together on a common bill, so in a common show. So if you go to a vaudeville performance, you know you're going to see a variety of about 12 acts that are back to back to back, basically. So these acts could include dancers. So here we go. I'm gonna label a bunch of stuff for you guys. So here, I wrote them down so I could try to remember. This is not all, but it's a lot. So dancers, singers, comedians, trained animals, musicians, acrobats, magicians, impersonators, jugglers, one-act plays, scenes from plays, athletes, ventriloquists, and then basically anyone that has a really fun talent that they can entertain the public with.
Wait, so was this like the advent of variety shows? Like, did variety shows not exist prior to vaudeville? Oh,
I should like ding 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 give you a prize.
I was doing variety shows, so I guess you could say I was doing vaudeville back in like grade school when they used to have like talent shows.
Talent shows are definitely a vaudeville-esque performance, right? Because you have a series of things that are completely unrelated, but it's a show. It encompasses an entire show. You can say that again. I mean, I was gonna do this at the very end, but whatever. We're talking about it now. Is like you think about Saturday Night Live, right? Saturday Night Live today is different acts that are compiled into a single show. So it's very vaudeville-like, right? You could also say that about America's Got Talent. You could say that about the Tonight Show is very much that way. So yeah, talent shows are a great example of modern day vaudeville, basically. So it's pretty cool. During its time, there was more than like 25,000 performers, and it was the most popular form of entertainment in America at its time. So it was the entertainment. It went from basically local small town stages all the way to like the New York Palace Theater. So you had small theaters, big theaters, everything was housing vaudeville. It was the entertainment of its era. It was the people's entertainment.
And then knowing that porn has infiltrated every single aspect of our media, when did porn enter? I was gonna try to use a different word, but I chose not to.
You're beautiful, Daz.
Is that how it turned into like burlesque? Burlesque shows were like a
no. Burlesques are already around. So burlesque is like, so you have things that can be incorporated into vaudeville. So I actually will get into how vaudeville was really meant for adult males at first, and then how it will evolve into a family entertainment. Because yes, I mean, a lot of the times entertainment was for men, right? With women that were a bit more risque and doing fun dances, and so burlesque is its own genre. So but it doesn't mean you can have burlesque acts within vaudeville style. So they're different, but doesn't mean that they can't overlap.
Got it.
So yeah.
I mean, if we're talking about burlesque, we would be talking about something overlap. So completely fine.
Look at you. How many times you're gonna keep going
I'll probably bring it back all night. So
again, like we were just saying, so vaudeville actually grew out of things like concert saloons, freak shows, right, sideshows, dime museums, and burlesques. Like vaudeville really came out of these very specific types of performances, these genres of performance. It was actually known as the heart of American show business, vaudeville, because the silent film industry is going to really rise, especially when film becomes a thing, right? during the late 1800s and early 1900s, and then also in talking pictures in the 1920s. So they're going to really draw from vaudeville. So vaudeville really is going to be the heart of American show business and what we know of today. And unfortunately, it will inevitably die out and decline due to the rise of the film industry. But it's still, like we just mentioned, lingers around in today's entertainment. So before we get into detail about all the different aspects we just briefly touched on, I do want to play this compilation video. So I threw this together. I pulled a bunch of vaudeville acts off of the Library of Congress website, and some things I found on YouTube, but I put together, it's like 2.5 minutes. It's not very long. And just to let you guys know, this video in no way shows the massive variety that encompasses this entertainment, but I still want to give you a taste of it, give you a visualization of kind of what some of these acts encompassed, right? And these are just some of these are actually really impressive, and I was like, I gotta show this. I'm very excited. So I'm going to cue the video up, and I'll see you guys in about 2 minutes. All right?
I'm excited.
Are you
I'm
excited? All right, here we go.
I am. I mean, okay. Can we just stop for a sec? How did the ring go through the woman? See, I believe in ghosts, and clearly that wasn't a real woman. She was a ghost.
I was
wrong.
I know. I really, those were fun, right? Again, there's so much out there, but I really enjoyed the one with the ring, and I really loved the woman who bit the chair and could dance with it while she held the chair in her mouth above her. I was like, what strong teeth you have. But I think some of it, you could see, like, some of it was just like them performing. Like, there's so much you can see on the internet that you can find today. Like, just they're like one acts, like someone pretending like to be a robber and coming in to steal something. I mean, there's just so it's just endless.
But the one with the two women fighting was just missing a mud pit. It's
too much. You're too much.
I feel disappointed that it was not there.
What'd you guys think of the video? Did you like it? Was it interesting? So that gives you a little taste of what some of the performances, some of them would have been like. So you can see, even in that one, you can see just a single stage, and then all of a sudden you can see, like, some of them look like grand theaters. I concur with John. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Definitely. So let's talk about the origins. Where did vaudeville come from? How did it come together? How did it become this variety show and the heart of American, show business? So some scholars actually have focused on France as the birthplace of vaudeville. And that's because of the name, right? Vaudeville sounds very French. So after actually some research, it had been discovered that because in around the 15th century, there was this series of several amusing songs that became really popular across France. And these songs were said to have been written by a man named Oliver Basselin. I realized I didn't look up how to say his beautiful French name. I do have a picture of him.
Oliver Basselin.
Oliver.
Yeah,
Oliver Basselin.
You pompous American.
I'm
Don't know how to
totally
pronounce the true
butchering
French
his name.
names.
I did practice the other words in French, but I didn't practice his name because I'm terrible, apparently. So this gentleman was said to have written these songs, and he lived in the valley of the river Vire, which is in northwest France.
Left of the valley of the river of death.
Vire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one from
The Valley of Death?
Crossroads. Yeah, from Crossroads.
Are you joshing with me right now?
Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Pardon your French. Yes,
Yeah.
Pardon my French. Well, these songs eventually became known as the, let me see if I can say this correctly. It's the Chanson de Vaudeville. Vaudeville, right? Chanson de Vaudeville, which means Songs of the Valley of There. So, basically, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Hi, Cherry. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. How are you?
Oh, my sweet cherry pie. Hello.
I love it. So I took French in high school, but God, that's so long ago now. So these songs in this name. So other people began writing and performing similar songs, and as this form of entertainment became more widespread, the link has since been lost. So as time went on, and people started to make songs and kind of build off of it, the origin until recently had kind of maybe been discovered. So the nickname was shortened to one word, which is vaudeville. I think vaudeville. And then as the phenomenon spread beyond France, further changes to pronunciation and spelling shifted to vaudeville to vaudeville. And the meaning also broadened to include humorous acts, so comedy acts, which is probably the most popular form of vaudeville, and then just like these variety shows as well. You're tired? Oh no! How early is it for you over there? So that's the origin. So there's this series of songs, and then and so again, you can see there's gonna be a lot of this, right, with Yiddish and 4:30. Oh gosh, girl, thank you for tuning in, Cherry. I appreciate it.
Wait, Yiddish?
Well, I'll get to that in a second. Not Yiddish, but the different types of forms of entertainment. So then around, I would say, pre-Civil War era. So basically, when we're getting into the late 1800s. That's when vaudeville really starts to take off in America. So the first American entrepreneurs who first labeled the entertainments vaudeville likely didn't really have any clear understanding of the origin of the word or the connection. They were just street smart. They were promoters. They weren't necessarily cultural anthropologists or anything. They were trying to persuade the people to come see this offering of vaudeville. So they're like, if it sounds French, then they'll presume it's classy and fancy and lively, right? I always say, it gave it that edge. It made it all pizzazz, that jazz hands. So, it makes sense. So, if you're telling people, come see our vaudeville show, people are gonna go, oh, vaudeville, that sounds French.
Yeah.
And they're gonna want to go see it, right? It sounds exotic. It sounds different, especially during late 1800.
I mean, can you consider The Greatest Showman and, what that was portraying? The Ringling Brothers and Barnum, and what was it portraying in that? Is that technically vaudeville as well?
Well, you're getting into sideshows and circus, which is different. Because
this is stage. This is very stage.
Yeah, this
no
is
three rings.
Very stage. And we're the biggest difference when it comes to vaudeville doesn't have a single theme or a scheme. Right, so it's very different. You could have acrobats, and then you could have a juggler, but then all of a sudden you could have a thing from a one-act play, or you can have someone just dancing, someone just singing. So where the circus can be thematic, right, or side shows can also have a single theme as well. So it's just because it is different, but it does come from this. So vaudeville does take elements from things like what the Ring of Bar was like. So the circus and thing, they take elements of that. So it's incorporated. So throughout the 1850s and the 1860s, variety entertainment, like we were just kind of mentioning, became popular among more like frontier settlers and urban centers as America began to grow and expand. So as it started to move west, these shows really were intended. So those specifically were intended for like all male audiences because they were basically obscene, right? They weren't proper, they were comical. But then around 1881, this gentleman here, we have, let me get this all correct. Sorry, guys. Here we go. I'm using a whole new system. Tony Pastor, in 1881, he was basically a ballad and minstrel singer, but he created a variety show for families. So prior to that, that did exist were intended for all male audiences, where this one, his name is Tony Pastor.
Oh, he was the guy that figured out how to keep milk for a long time, right?
Pasteurize? I get what you're going with this. Thank you. How do you come up with these so quickly?
He's amazing, because I just know amazing history facts.
You're on top of it. That's right. So he actually is known, sometimes referred to as the Dean of Vaudeville because of this, making it more family orientated, which made it something that went to a wider audience, right? It was, and because of that, others recognized that this wider audience meant more money, and they followed his lead. So they started to do that as well. So another person I have to mention is going to be, actually I don't have a picture of him, I forgot to get it. So sorry, Benjamin Franklin Keith. Another person I have to mention, he's the one who actually is credited to bring vaudeville to the US and Canada because he was an early adopter to variety shows, and he built an empire of theaters. So he had this empire of theaters, and then he brought variety shows into the theater. So
that's why they put his face on the $100 bill. Yeah.
Yeah.
More facts.
Benjamin Franklin Keith, definitely.
Yeah, that's why they call them Benjamins. It makes perfect sense.
And he did theaters in Boston and Philadelphia, so all these major city centers. So that helped really spread variety shows on a more massive scale, on a bigger, on that kind of scale. So there's also, remember during the late 1800s, you have a huge influx of immigrants coming in, and this quickly growing urban population along the East Coast and even a bit on the West. And then there's the expansion going west. Vaudeville soon becomes the central point for American cultural life. So it's important to note also, I'm going to keep saying that, right? It's important to note, don't forget this.
I know. Hold on. I know.
Get your notes out.
I'm going to be touching on there. Go ahead.
So, vaudeville, although it contains elements, it was unlike theater plays, as in performances that had come before, think of Shakespeare and plays, and also the opera, which had been around for a long time. And we've been touching on this. Vaudeville took a series of completely unrelated acts and threw them together one after another. And sometimes shows would go on for hours. So it could be, it depends how long your act is, right? So there was no theme. There was no commonality between them. As I listed earlier, it was this mashup of different talents with different types of people from all over. So people, it actually featured performers from all different ethnicities, genders, and race and ages, which was pretty great in that regard. So over time, vaudeville developed into big business, right? So big business got a hold of it, and its growing popularity prompted the building all these really large theaters throughout America. So modern America show business had arrived by that now. So as you have these giant theaters that are being built for this specific type of performance, and big business is capitalizing on it, now you have modern American show business, which didn't exist prior to this. So, which I thought was a pretty cool thing for you guys to know. If you didn't know.
Yeah, something good to know. I should write that one down.
You should write that down for trivia nights. You never know. Or at the next family gathering, so you can be like, "Did you know?" I know this thing now. So during this time, we have what's known as, I don't know if you guys know this, so the late 1800s into the early 1900s is known as the Gilded Age, and then the Progressive Era. And there is this huge boom in technology. So the railroads came out in the mid 1800s and then all of a sudden through the late 1800s, we have this expansion that's going west. So then we have the input, telegraphs and telephones are are coming about. They're being installed. We also have electricity, and cameras are being developed and capitalized on and becoming more common. So you think like the Kodak camera. We have Thomas Edison, and also, you know, with moving pictures. So they're starting to be able to film things. And John,
when does Hollywoodville come to fruition? I need to know.
I used to know this by heart, and I can't remember right now. I do know that first film that was created was 1863, the horse one that we were talking about. But Hollywood specifically, it's, I can't fully remember.
Okay, I don't know either.
If you know, tell us in chat. Yeah, it's not my area of expertise, but I do know that the first moving picture is 1863, so which I thought was pretty fascinating. Hollywood Land.
Oh, that's right. Well, I just was trying to connect Hollywood Land and Vaudeville, and I assumed that they would just call it Hollywoodville, which would later be called Hollywood Land. And then Land was just too much; they had to drop it.
They had to drop it.
Yeah, you know.
It sounds hokey, doesn't it? Hollywood Land. It sounds hokey. Hollywoodville even so. I guess if it's what that was, it was called the whole time, we wouldn't question it. But yeah.
Nope.
Nope. Also, the press got a hold of vaudeville shows and vaudeville acts, and it's gonna also help spread the news and spread, you know, extra. So like daily press release of different performances is going to be a really big thing, and help flood it. And also you have this influx of people flooding into America at the time, right? Give us your tired, give us your hungry, give us your poor. So like you have this huge influx of people, and as the nation is expanding and and there's opportunities, people are going to want to get into theater. They're going to want to get into these theatrical ambitions, basically, and they're going to turn to vaudeville for this because they have a talent, they have a skill, and they know that it can be capitalized within a variety show. Right? So you may not be a good singer, so you can't maybe do opera or a play, but you have you can juggle really well, or you're really good at doing magic, so there's a spot for you, right? There's a place for you within this genre of theater. And you could become famous, you could tour, you could be part of the vaudeville circuit, which is just like a really amazing opportunity. So yeah, so it's crazy. So they have to, where am I at in my notes, by the way? So you just have to have an act. As long as you have an act, you're good. You usually could get in. So they would there was like a way of doing vaudeville shows, like they'd start with the weakest and they get stronger by the end of the night. So if you didn't have such a great show, you might be early on the bill, right? And if you had a really good show and you were really popular, you'd be later on the bill. That's still common today in some ways, right? So the headlining band is usually the last one to go up, and like you have your front bands or your front singers. So it's kind of in similarity. I would never call people who what is that usually when you have someone who plays before you when you're the headlining band?
Yeah, you're the headliner, you're the opener.
Okay, if you're the opener, that doesn't mean you're weak. You're just maybe not as famous, or
yeah, it usually means you're less famous. You're less of the draw to the show.
Correct. And vaudeville really had that, so it still was like, oh, your act is okay, and so they had this. So if you had an act and you could do it, they'll probably like put you on the bill and hope that you succeed, right? That you hope you move forward. And so an act can only be developed through experience, kind of like today. That's why like you have comedians who go to small theaters and they, try the material out to see, who laughs at it. It's the same ordeal, right? So you have people who are out there doing their acts, and as they see how the crowd reacts to them, then they start to develop their act even more, and then how audiences, and that's how people get discovered, because they don't have internet and everything at the time. So it's definitely a trial and error, right? So during this time, it's difficult to really know how many theaters were playing, like really having vaudeville as their main performance at any given time, but we can know that there was about 800 to about 1,200 big time vaudeville houses in America, which is a lot.
That is a bunch.
It's a lot. And that more or less they would do 2 shows a day. But they would have to do at least 2 shows a day. And each show, remember, is made up of at least 12 acts generally, of different things. So you have about up to 1,200 big vaudeville houses, and each one's doing 12 shows a day. You have a lot of entertainment happening.
Yeah. I mean, that's over 12,000 actors. 12. Oh, no, wait.
You gonna do the math?
14,000 actors. 24. Yeah, a lot of show actors.
Well, I don't even know, so you would have a show, but I don't know how long it would stay the same, right? So even though you do 2 shows a day, for how long would that show be the same show? You know, how much did it really start to mix it up? And like, because you know, people touring. So I don't know how the intricacies of how that works, but I would think that they have.
It's probably like how it does
acts.
it now, right? Is like based on population of the city, how often you need to kind of like turn over and get something new from smaller towns. You know, you can only tour there maybe once or twice, but
That's true.
yeah.
Well, in addition to the vaudeville chains, right? These vaudeville these theaters that were built specifically for vaudeville, there were actually more than I read that there were more than 1,000 other venues that also just booked vaudeville shows as well. So it wasn't just doing, because remember, it's small time and big time. You have the small theaters, you have big theaters, and people are just booking vaudeville performances throughout pretty much all of America. So most weekend nights in hundreds of small towns, like think of like the Great Plains and the Rocky Mountain states, they would have basically converted places like churches and halls, tents, auditoriums, or any space that they had to accommodate enough folks to make to put on a vaudeville performance.
Now, do you know the difference between like vaudeville and like minstrel shows? Because minstrel shows were traveling singing acts.
Correct, but that's what they are, right? They're a specific type of act, so it's singing. Or vaudeville is so many.
Anything and everything.
So there are, of course, minstrel acts within a vaudeville performance, right? But it's, again, vaudeville is its own overarching genre, and then you have these other ones as well. So there were usually a dozen or more acts in every vaudeville performance, starting, like I said, starting with the weakness and ending with the strongest generally, and they would go on for hours. So they would range from extremely talented to quirky, like just quirky, strange acts. And so I now wanted to kind of talk about briefly like who was performing in vaudeville. Again, this is a very intense topic, so I'm gonna briefly just mention a few, and I have a couple of videos I'd like to show you guys, a couple more pictures. So there were musicians such as I think I'm gonna say his name wrong, but it's really fun, Ebby Blake, and then also you have like the king of ragtime, Scott Joplin. So if you guys don't know, I'm playing ragtime piano behind, like, as the background music. I love ragtime. It really comes about during the turn of the century, and of course Scott Joplin is the king of ragtime. So he got started in the vaudeville circuit. If you guys didn't know that, which was pretty cool.
I'm back.
You're back. As I say, you look clean and beautiful.
Yeah, it was completely me.
There were.
Well, I heard everything you said though. That's the crazy part.
Your voice was completely clear. Your picture just wasn't. So it's
yeah,
okay. At least you didn't turn green this time.
Right.
Oh, Zoom. Oh, Zoom. Then you have famous child stars. There were people who like did physical talent, so people who would show off their muscles. So you think about the big bodybuilders, that was one of the acts as well. You have contortionists, as you guys saw in the video, people who could just contort their body in crazy, strange, wild ways. You had people who were tumblers, and then there's also like amazing dancers. And one of the acts that I highly recommend you guys look up is the Nicholas Brothers. They are unreal. They're an amazing tap dancing duo. I recommend you guys checking them out. They really got started off as well in the vaudeville circuit. Actors performed plays, musicians did magic. So I don't know if you guys know this. So Houdini, I actually have a picture of Houdini because I like this one. He's with an elephant. Houdini started off really in the vaudeville circuit as well. He did a lot of, he's a magician and he did a lot of magic acts. Part of the variety show, that's really where he started to get big during his heyday, and during his earlier years. And then of course you had jugglers, and then as I said earlier, the real focus of vaudeville was comedy. People really wanted to laugh, so you have a lot of comedians, people who are doing stand-up comedy. They're singing performances that are supposed to be that are really funny, and you see that when people are doing acrobatic movement, they're trying to be humorous, right? They're trying to make you laugh by acting like they messed up or things like that. So people wanted to be entertained, especially during a time that had a lot of turmoil, right? We had a lot of problems, especially, not to say that we don't today, but the Gilded Age. Poverty was really bad, and even though in the progressive era we have this rise, things are changing and things are getting better, right? But still people are struggling, right? And you have the tenant apartments, and so life was really hard, but these types of entertainments really gave people life to a degree, right? It made them laugh, it made them forget. So I think that's one of the big reasons why it was so popular at its core. And then you had,
I mean, yeah, it has to be popular, right? Because you've never really seen so many different things before. Like, and how often do you go throughout your, at the time, 6 to 7 day work week, and then spend money to go see something different, right?
no, it's true. I love that your brother's digging your hat. You're gonna have to wear that to Hawaii now.
Nope. Only for vaudeville and my minstrel shows.
I love it. Well, I mean, also, like, these are things, like, we can go on the computer now and look at it, right? It's in movies. It's easier to see, even though we're still extremely in awe and impressed over someone who can contort their body or do a magic show. It was so more uncommon, obviously, you know, so for you to go pay a nickel or whatever, a dime, to go see a show, to see these really wild acts and very talented performances of all different types of people, right? Because you live in sometimes people lived in a very specific community and they weren't exposed to other people, you know, other different ethnicities or anything like that. So this really exposed them to that, which is something that's really amazing about vaudeville. It would let you know about your neighbors, right, that are the next town over.
It's interesting that in that time they were okay with it, because I exposed myself once to someone.
Oh my
and I got
I can't even with you. There's a really great comedy act. We have so many. So there was a lot of people. That's like this with the circus as well. You have a lot of family units. So you see a lot of brothers and sisters who are doing acts together, families that work together, and they're the ones that are really traveling part of this vaudeville circuits. Married couples are another big one. So one of the ones I wanted to mention that were probably one that brought in some of the biggest crowds, and they became really popular also during when movies really started to become big, was George Burns and Gracie Allen. They drew in some of the biggest crowds during vaudeville performances. So you have these really great acts. I did want to talk about something that was also extremely popular, and I could do a whole entire show just on this alone. It's called the cakewalk dance. Have you guys ever heard of the cakewalk dance? Have you ever done a cakewalk dance?
Yeah, it's kind of like the chicken walk, but the chicken dance, you know.
I mean, yeah, I guess so, because it's are you
No, I'm
pulling my leg? Yeah.
I mean,
Always.
I'm completely
Well, I was laughing because not laughing, but I was thinking about this. I did a cakewalk dance when I was younger.
Nope, I won't
demonstration, please. And it was really lame, actually. It was like, and I've heard that this is a cakewalk dance that some people do now. So like, it transformed over time and it has different varieties.
But are you gonna show us the cakewalk dance?
I'm gonna show you a video of someone of a lovely group doing the cakewalk dance.
I think we should do a poll to see who wants to see Piva Colada do the cakewalk dance.
Let me tell you the cakewalk dance that I did. It was so lame. There was literally numbers on the ground, and you had it was like musical chairs. So you had to walk, right, on these numbers, and whenever the music stopped, you had to stop. And whatever number you were on, you might have won the prize. So it was really lame. Cakewalk dances were way cooler, as in like, the way they evolved over time. So let me tell you guys really quick. So the cakewalk dance was a very popular vaudeville act in routine. So it actually was pre-Civil War dance that was originally performed by slaves on plantation grounds. So what it was first known as a prize walk, and the prize was an elaborate cake. So people would dance, and then whoever they deemed was the best dancer, they would give them a prize, and it was a cake. So you would win a cake if you were the best dancer. Cool. Yeah, it's actually where the phrase "takes the cake" comes from. I don't know if you guys.
Oh yeah.
And I thought that was a really fascinating thing. So to say "takes the cake," that means that you did the best dance and that you won the cake. And then they evolved to be known as cakewalks. So by the 1870s, it was ingrained in American popular culture and entertainment. And then by the 1890s, it was just huge. Everyone was doing it. So it really started off first with African Americans, and then it evolved, and then people started to adapt it because they found it entertaining and they really enjoyed the energy and everything like that. So in itself, it's actually very intricate. It has a lot of complexities, and I really recommend looking up the history of the cakewalk.
I think we need to see it. I think we need
I'm
to
gonna
see
show
it.
it to you. It actually
I
gives.
need to see it.
It even it begins like the cakewalk becomes so popular that it starts to form a genre of music comes out of it. So what we're listening to right now, ragtime, the early form of music is the early predecessor to ragtime. So that is really this is a high energy type of dancing. So here we go. Let me show you guys
I'm
the cakewalk.
hyped.
I know it's just gonna be on the side here. So this is from 1903.
Oh wait, dang.
I know.
Guys, getting it on. Okay. When does it start saying clap? Clap, clap, clap your hands.
Oh,
clap, 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 clap your hands. Yeah. 2 hops this time. Step.
Right foot, left stomp.
Yeah, I saw no sweets either. There was not a single cake
sweets
in the cake slide.
Well, at first it was that, but then all of a sudden people, really capitalized on the idea of this high energy dancing and people taking, basically, they take turns. That's what I was looking for. So you see like someone's dancing, and then when they dance, someone else starts to dance, and someone else starts to dance, and then it becomes more elaborate than that. There are duos that just do cakewalks. You have groups of 5 that will do cakewalks. But it's one of the most popular vaudeville acts. Again, you could do a whole episode on just the cakewalk itself. It has a lot of complexities, and it's very deep rooted, especially within African American culture and then in American culture as well, in entertainment. So check it out.
I just hope whoever had the best dance in the cakewalk won the cake. Like I hope there's a cake on the line.
There should always be a cake on the line. I think there was a World's Fair. They had a cake walk dance, and it was like this, and someone won this insane large cake. Again, there's so many. The history of the cakewalk is a fascinating. It's a really good. It has, of course, some dark history as well. But I recommend checking it out. If you guys want, or if you want to vote for me to do one day.
We voted that you do it this stream.
Oh, do it this stream. Got it. No, I'm not gonna do it. I can't move like that. That's amazing. I cannot move like that. Let me just drink a couple more Tom Collins and see what happens.
It's a great idea.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers. Cheers, cheers, cheers. So there was also, did you guys know Charlie Chaplin? When he was a kid, like 11 years old with his brother, was part of the vaudeville circuit before becoming an extremely famous silent movie star. There's a lot of actually kids that started off in the vaudeville that eventually became pretty popular, like Judy Garland. She was in the latter. And then you have people like Bob Hope, Buster Keaton, Jack Benny, and just so many more. But you think about all the really famous, the majority of the famous silent movie stars, and then also in the talking pictures that come pretty much during the end where vaudeville starts to die out. They really started to get their jump within vaudeville. Early on. There were so many amazing vaudeville performers, and it's impossible, like I said, to talk about all of them. But someone I really want to mention, she's really epic, I think. Her name is Eva Tanguay. I think it's how you say her name. Tanguay, Tanguay. And she was labeled the queen of vaudeville.
Ooh.
She was actually incredibly influential and highly entertaining. She pushed the envelope, I guess you can say, in terms of content. She was notorious for her onstage and offstage behavior. She was extremely suggestive. She was outrageous. She's sometimes called the Lady Gaga of vaudeville. She wore extremely elaborate clothing. She just really went above and beyond. She was known as a mediocre singer, but an amazing performer. So it was the way that she just got on the stage and the way she just kind of demanded attention in the way she moved herself. So I actually have a video of Eva a little bit here. So to give you guys,
I'm excited to see her.
I found a really fun video that gave you an idea of some of her clothes, her on stage. So which are pretty cool. So here you guys go. Yeah. So I think this is her peacock outfit.
I mean, it's a nice outfit.
It's insane. Look at that thing. And I love how she's just only in the tail.
Hey man, that's very risque. I could see why she's the Lady Gaga of today.
This looks like a chandelier. I call this the chandelier outfit. right? It's just like these
That's awesome.
beads and.
I mean, who is her costumer? That's honestly really cool.
And look at this headpiece. Look
Ain't
at her,
she
she's just up
dancing it?
there. Yeah.
I mean, she just owns the stage. You know, you just gotta like her. I could see totally going to a vaudeville act. You know, she's getting the audience involved.
This one, she's wearing a bunch of flags. Yeah, it's just like.
Yeah, because you're just like, what is she gonna do next? You know, what's the next crazy thing she's gonna come up with?
What is she gonna wear? How is she gonna perform? I think that
Where's the giant, you know, clothing of all just made up of meat?
She was just pretty epic. It'd be fun to do. It would be fun to just see a whole show on her, I think. Is this a predecessor of burlesque? Burlesque had already been around. So no, burlesque had been around.
That's what I asked too, brother. See, we asked the same thing. Burlesque, it started with, so this is what I learned. See, I've been taking notes. Burlesque had already been around. You know, if you're thinking France, right? Burlesque started in France. And Moulin Rouge and stuff like that. Yeah. And then vaudeville came out of things like that, burlesque, traveling shows, minstrel shows. And then you came to the variety act, not just dancing.
No, you're good. We can always backtrack. We can always go over again.
And I want to prove that I'm learning things, even though I'm joking the entire time.
So vaudeville
was, pay attention? It
was very symbolic, right, of the cultural diversity of early 20th century America. It was this fusion, which I was trying to mention before, of centuries old traditions, including like the English music halls, minstrel shows that you've talked about, even like antebellum America, and then the Yiddish theater. So it has all these different elements that it draws from, though certainly not free of the prejudice of its times. There is a lot, of course, some controversies when it comes to vaudeville. It was the earliest form of entertainment that did cross racial and class boundaries, which was really big. For many, vaudeville was the first exposure to cultures of people living down the street that they didn't think of going to explore at that time, you know. So it was, you know, you would see different people, you would see different types of things that you wouldn't have normally. We get exposed to it because of our entertainment today. So this is their entertainment that was able to introduce people to different things that they didn't really know about. So the most famous vaudeville performers began at an early age, like I studied before, but like the circus, it was a family affair. You had, like we've mentioned, singing sisters, you had dancing brothers, you had flying families. Like, so again, it's drawing from the circus, it's drawing from these different types of theater and these different types of performances. So families really stayed together. For many families, this traveling lifestyle was simply a continuation of the adventure that brought them to America, which I think is fascinating. Their acts were a form of assimilation as well, in which they could become active parts of popular culture through representation of their heritage. People that were Italian would go up there and speak Italian, you know, people would, you know, they would stick to their heritage. They would stick to their traditions and they would use it in their performance. And I think that was a really great way to expose people to that.
Yeah, because that's an act, because you don't see that, you know.
Exactly. It's to them, it's like, oh, it's exotic. Yeah. You're like, okay. Yeah. So many made acts from basically the others displayed skills that they learned back in the old country, right? So it's I think that's something that is beautiful.
Yes, the old country.
The old country.
The old country.
The pond, yes. So once an act worked, performers, of course, repeated it in front of audiences after audience, and many performers became known simply by their signature acts. So if you were a juggler, you were known as a juggler. If you were a magician like Houdini, you were now known as a magician.
So if there was vaudeville today, although there is, but let's just say we're back in it's 1900, and you're not good enough to work in anything, and you decide to pick up vaudeville, what would be your act?
What would be my act?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I don't know. I think this is going to sound silly, but I think it's something that I don't know. You might laugh at me at this one. Something that I have not fully explored, but I have had success in, is doing stand-up. I did my own solo show. I did a solo show when I was 20.
Yeah.
I did a solo show at my community college, and it was people really enjoyed it. So,
that's awesome.
Like, I got a lot of laughs. So it's like, I know that I could produce stories that people would enjoy. Does it mean that I could make a living off of it in any capacity? But I don't think.
We'll just have you start first.
Skills would be.
We'll just have you start first. You won't close, but you'll start.
I won't close. I won't know if I'd start. Maybe I'd be early middle.
Okay, that's good.
Early middle. That's where
Early
I
middle.
would be.
All right, I'll give you that.
Just like the thought of that. You guys don't even remember you didn't even know me back then when I was in theater.
Nope,
You didn't
I
even
don't.
know me. What about you, John? You have more skills. You perform though.
Well, knowing that what you just said, I'd take my Irish heritage and I'd be talking Irish.
Just
and I'd tell them
the whole
about all
time.
the things in Ireland that were great.
Can we get a joke from the act? No, I don't. Mine was like, like anything else, it was it was a story that had
I would
moments.
tell a story.
Yeah,
So
mine was
this
a
would be my story.
There wasn't
Right.
punchlines.
Here's
Yeah.
my story.
You're
Right.
getting PS
Oh,
from John's Irish?
Let me tell you a story about two whales. All
You know
right.
what I always think about?
There's a male and female whale. I'm telling you a story.
I'm
All
sorry.
right. There's a
yes.
male and female whale. And the male whale turns to his girlfriend whale and says, "Hey, honey, look, there's the fisherman boat that killed my father. We should go over there and blow it over and put them in the water." Right? And so she goes, "Yeah, honey, I think I can help you with that." And the male whale says, "Hey, honey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to swim under the boat and we're going to use our blowholes and we're going to put so much water up there that the boat flips over." And they go, "Okay, let's do it." So they swim over and they blow and the fisherman boat drops over and the fishermen go into the water and they're screaming, "Oh no, oh no." And the whales come back and they're like, "All right, honey, we got them in the water. Now, let's go eat those fishermen." And the female whale says, "No, take a look, honey. Look, here's the thing. I'll happily do the blow job, but I won't swallow the semen."
Oh my god. Ba-dum. Nice.
See? And then they would go,
Where the crowd goes,
"Oh, John! That was an amazing act! That's what you waited all night for! It was a sex joke! That's... All right, continue on. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, we're coming to the closing, right? So thank you for your beautiful act of your
Yeah, you're
Irish joke. I'm glad. See, you're able.
I don't know why they were Irish whales, but I had already said I was
love
gonna
it.
be an Irish act,
I
so-
thought it was great. It was very believable.
Yeah.
Okay, let me think. So basically,
I've thrown you off. You need to think. What are you thinking
okay,
about?
so vaudeville's very popular, but then all of a sudden, damn that film industry, right? So
Yeah. I do hear
damn
the
the
film
stock
industry
market crash of 1929.
Well, you know that song, right? The film industry killed the vaudeville star. Film industry killed the vaudeville
I think you should
star.
capitalize on that. Yes. Actually,
It's a
the
great
radio also killed the vaudeville as well. So yeah.
It's a full circle.
So theaters began to. So you have all these major theaters that are showing Janela's broken. I know my cheeks hurt, like really bad, like right here. Okay, I've stretched them out. Cheers. Yes. Cheers. So theaters that were playing vaudeville eventually switched to begin to start showing film. Sometimes they would actually do a variety of that. So you would have vaudeville performances and then a film would be shown following it. And that actually became very common, right? Throughout the 20th century, you would have a performance, like a musical performance or a small play, and then the movie would, precede it. So this really started around that time as well. And the few vaudevillians took what they could, and they were performing between reels, basically. So like they would have short, silent films, and then in between would be live performances. So vaudeville really started to take the back seat to entertainment. So as we get to the decline, which is sad. It's sad. John, you did this to me.
You're welcome. This is my job, and I've completed it.
There
The
were four major factors at play in the decline of vaudeville. First was Hollywood. Hollywoodland. Silent films already, of course, wrestling, I guess you could say, vaudeville for popularity. And then when they added sound in 1926, it was game over, basically. A second factor affecting vaudeville was the radio. Radio shows started to get more popular as, the telegraph was being strung across, America along railroad lines. people were listening and tuning in. They didn't want to leave their house. Why would you go to a
Sounds like
show when you
COVID.
can sit? I know, when you can sit in front of a radio and listen to a show. Why would you leave your house? Who would do that? So, yeah, radio shows was another factor. A third event was the stock market crash of 1929. Basically, what little money families could spend on entertainment went for, they would go buy a new radio because that would be unlimited entertainment for them, and movie theater tickets were cheaper. So, they decided to buy those instead of going to see vaudeville performances. And then the other reason, really the big one that tends to get overlooked, it's so easy to blame it on other forms of entertainment, but the biggest one, I think, is that vaudeville became repetitive, basically. It lost its novelty, I guess you could say, as people got used to seeing jugglers. And I still think when I see someone do a show, I'm thoroughly impressed, and we are bombarded with things all the time.
Look,
but I mean, if something brand new comes about, I mean, don't get me wrong, maybe that's your attention. Just
no, it's like this, right? Because when I was little, my parents used to take my brother and I to go see the Cirque du Soleil. Like before I went to Vegas, right? And so it would be like the highlight of my like little childish childhood life, right? Like this is just amazing. I've never seen anything like it before. But then they just kept coming out with new shows, and now it's just like, you know, we saw one, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and the show was really good. It's not that it wasn't, but it was just like, you've seen one Cirque du Soleil show, you kind of seen them all.
Yeah,
like
it now becomes a spectacle, right? Because if you see them like diving in water, or you're like, it's like it does give it a new form or a new life.
Yeah.
But
So I can
you
see
go
why
see it again. So
vaudeville like die after a while. Like you need to keep it interesting.
That's exactly it. People said that it became homogenized, too predictable, complacent, and stale. It kind of sounds harsh, but I can see that. You know, I could definitely see that. But I mean, the circus still is around today, you know?
Yeah. When's the last time you went to the circus? Yeah, exactly. The circus is still around today. No one goes.
I think because of the bad things we know about the circus, I think is the
animal abuse.
The animal abuse. So I think, which of course was huge, you know, I mean, different laws, especially during the late 1800s and early 1900s. So ironically, it's through the movie and TV industry that vaudeville eventually left its greatest mark, though, in society. So as silent films come about, they're going to take elements of vaudeville. So if you see a silent film, there's this exaggeration, right? There's the way they perform, the way they move. It's something that's to entertain, to make you laugh. But even like single acts, or it's very vaudeville-like. So. And then also these early performers, these vaudeville performers, they are the ones that are going to become pretty big stars within the silent and talking pictures that come about during the early 1900s. And that's what's going to linger. Any variety show that you've seen when it comes to talk shows, and like we've talked about this, America's Got Talent or SNL, these are all going to be things that incorporate the variety show element that began with vaudeville. So it's still... It was a major impact, right?
So it's still around.
It's the heart of American show business.
Yeah.
So now you guys know when someone goes vaudeville, you now know what that means. And
I want to associate with burlesque, because honestly, I associate vaudeville with burlesque. No longer. I'll associate it with semen. Cheers.
Your Irish Wales, you know?
Nothing wrong with my Irish accent, right? It's a great accent.
I hope you guys learned something today.
I totally learned something today. It was amazing. And thank you.
Oh, there's no sound alerts during this. I should turn them off. But Gigi! I'll do it for you. Gigi! Oh,
well, yeah, I guess before we end it,
yeah,
questions, which I'll be happy to answer. I'm
John
so good
will be now. John's an expert.
I'm an expert in vaudeville. I gave you my vaudeville joke. That was my vaudeville act. You should all pay me for that amazing act, because you know, that's I'm a vaudeville. I'm amazing. So to tell you the truth, I was doing a bunch of when I was a kid. I did a bunch of talent shows starting in 2nd grade. So I feel like vaudeville is in my blood.
You very much are a performer. You know, I can see that. I did one talent show in 8th grade.
You went to a performing arts school. So, you know.
I did go to a school like Fame, so in the movie Fame, so.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for teaching me and the audience about vaudeville. I hope everyone learned something.
I know.
Oh, by
Thank
the way,
you guys.
have you come up with a sign off? You need to come up with a sign off.
I know we
you
talked
know?
about this. A cheers. We need to come up with a thing that wraps us up ultimately.
Yeah, like,
by
comment,
the way,
subscribe. It's Twitch. You can't do it.
I know you can. By the way, you guys, we haven't. John and I have not chosen a date yet, but the next show.
For our marriage? Well, I need to tell my parents about it first. You calm down.
We have not. We have chosen the theme for our next episode, but we haven't chosen the day or date. We will be doing. We're gonna mix it up. We're gonna be doing the history of whiskey on our next show. So we're gonna have some fun. It's in honor of John and his love of whiskey and his whiskey on the rocks and his Jack and Cokes or his John B drinks.
What can I say? My parents set me up correctly in life.
So
they told me what the priorities were and I listened.
So we'll be doing that. We'll also be doing tastings as well. So if I talk about Kentucky bourbon, we'll do Kentucky bourbon. If we talk about Scotch, we'll be drinking a Scotch. So it's gonna be. I'll let you guys know in Discord and in Facebook where I put the events on which whiskeys we will be drinking. So if you are of legal age, of course, you can participate with us as we do it together. I will give you a date. I'll keep everyone updated when that will be. It will be in the next coming weeks, but I know summer's slowly approaching, fastly approaching, who's kidding who, and things are about to get super busy, but we'll think of it and we'll come up with something. It should be a great fun topic. I love the history of beverages. It's one of my favorites.
Hey, I love anything about whiskey is great.
So, oh my gosh, my cheeks hurt. I gotta go. I love everybody. Thank you for tuning in on your Friday night, and we appreciate you for being here, and we'll definitely see you guys next time. All right, everyone. Goodbye. Goodbye.